Tonight on KGW News, a burned out shell starts to crumble.
There's bricks coming down everywhere.
So if it's too dangerous to go in, how do investigators figure out where it began?
Plus, a shakeup on a controversial school board. It appears the incumbents are out in Newburgh.
I think it was a pretty big statement that Newburgh made.
And later, a winged intruder smashes into a Washington home.
I mean, who wants to deal with talons, right?
Yeah.
Didn't sound like a good time.
What he left behind and why the couple inside took it as a blessing. Good evening, and we begin with the aftermath of that fire that tore through a century-old Portland building, leaving the structure barely standing, and crews tell us they are worried it could quickly get worse. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Brittany Folgers. Part of that apartment building collapsed today. One more challenge for investigators who are trying to figure out where and why it all began. Catherine Cook has the latest.
We're getting a better idea of just how dangerous what's left of this building really is. Crews tell us it's unreinforced masonry that was basically being held together by floors. Well, now those floors are damaged and part of the building is already collapsed. Investigators believe the rest of it could go anytime.
Oh, it was a huge crash, big bricks falling everywhere. It was a wild time,
Jordan Hoyapadabi was guarding the May Apartments when part of the burnt-out building collapsed Wednesday afternoon.
Some homeless people over there in that encampment. When the bricks came down, I rushed over to make sure everyone was going to be okay because, it's a safety hazard, right?
Fear of collapse led city engineers to red tag the building, meaning no civilians can go inside. On Tuesday morning, a 4-alarm fire ripped through the 113-year-old building on Southwest 14th and Taylor. Dozens of tenants lost their homes but got out with their lives. Many clung to fire escapes as smoke filled the building and windows exploded. Firefighters risked their lives to rescue them.
We physically removed some on our own. We encouraged others to leave.
Investigators are trying to figure out how the fire started, a challenge amid looming threats of collapse. To help, Scappoose Fire will bring in their specialized drone Friday. They got it through Homeland Security, part of a new investigative program using 3D imagery. In January, they helped crews at another dicey scene after fire destroyed the Portland Korean church.
He has a smaller drone that we're going to take into the area of believed fire start, incipiency, if you will, and they're going to fly the drone around and see if we can determine anything from the imagery that is gathered in that process.
In the meantime, Jordan and others try their best to keep people away.
There's bricks coming down everywhere, and it's just not structurally stable right now since the fire.
Investigators haven't stepped foot in the building yet. They're going to see what the drone finds on Friday before making that call. If need be, they have clearance to send one investigator inside. They'll send him in through the window with a tactical rescue team on standby in case the building collapses. In Southwest Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
And developing tonight near Cascade Locks, a 19-year-old is presumed drowned after he disappeared in the Columbia River this afternoon. The sheriff's office says the teen jumped off a footbridge at the marina east of the Bridge of the Gods. He then got swept away. The Coast Guard, along with local crews, searched for several hours this afternoon trying to find him. The sheriff's office says crews will go back tomorrow and treat it as a recovery mission.
Another tragedy there. Well, some 24 hours into the ballot count, results from Oregon's special election appear to be holding for the major races in Multnomah County. The proposed capital gains tax is still failing, with 81% so far giving it a resounding no. Now, this would have helped renters facing eviction pay for a lawyer, though no county in the country funds that kind of legal help this way.
Former Nike executive and current PPS board member Julia Brim Edwards still has a firm lead in the Multnomah County Commissioner's race. That means she should be able to avoid a runoff.
And in the race for Portland School Board Zone 3, retired elementary school teacher Patty Sullivan still holds the lead there with about 58% of the vote. By the way, we want to take a closer look at the race for school board now in Newburgh, because early count suggests most of the board there is about to be replaced.
Yeah, 3 incumbents, including the chair, are losing in initial results. It follows a string of controversies that started with an effort to ban gay pride and Black Lives Matter flags in schools. Tonight, Alma McCarty spoke with the outgoing board chair and the candidate who defeated him. Alma.
David, Brittany, Newburgh's a relatively small town, but its school board stayed in the news for the past couple of years for some pretty controversial moves. James Wolfer, who has 53% of the vote right now to Dave Brown's 47%, says he and the other incoming board members want to bring what they call a necessary shift to the district.
From a ban on political displays to the firing of a superintendent, a recall election, and the resignation of progressive board members, the Newburgh School District has certainly dealt with quite a bit. That's part of the reason why James Wolfer said he ran for the school board.
I'd love if after all this, we're just, after these few wins that, no offense, but we're not doing news articles anymore, and just get us out of the news and go back to being a normal, healthy school district that isn't making national headlines for this or that controversy.
Looks like many in the community agree. Initial results show Wolfer and the 4 other candidates backed by the Oregon Cares PAC won their bid. The group's largest donor, the statewide teachers union. Scott Winter, a spokesperson, says Oregon Cares formed late last year.
I don't know that I personally expected a sweep. That was certainly something we were hoping for. I think we figured we'd get a couple seats and we'd incrementally, help to affect some change on the Newburgh School Board.
Well, we'll see how they do on the school board after they've been there a while. School boards are really overrated as far as what you can get done.
I also spoke with outgoing board chair Dave Brown, who is losing his seat to Wolfer, and asked whether he'd have done anything differently.
I was asked that question at lunch a while back, and I said everything and nothing. I feel like Newburgh had to happen. I don't know why. I feel like the Lord's got a plan, but somebody had to, throw the brick through the window and kind of get this conversation going. It's a complicated time to be a school board member. I wish these new people well. I'm not going to go down to that school board meeting and do what some of them did to me, because I don't think that's the right way to do it.
Wolfer said he's ready to listen to all families whose children attend this district.
The 5 of us, they've tried to paint us as the progressives or whatever, and it's really not. I'm an independent, we had a Republican, we had 3 Democrats, and all of us had just said, we probably don't agree on some things politically, but that shouldn't matter. The 5 of us could work together to return it to normalcy and return it to being about, a healthy school district that's, safe physically and emotionally for kids.
Wolfer also said with several new members who are also new to elected office, they hope to get some training in to start off on the right track. The new school board will start on July 1st. David?
Just wanting to get back to normal, they say. Thank you, Alma. Hey, a reminder for updated results from the special election. Just hold up your smartphone camera and scan that tiny QR code in the lower right. That's going to take you to KGW's election coverage, of course, anytime you can go, kgw.com.
Well, as you heard earlier, Multnomah County voters are putting their foot down on a new capital gains tax. It's a rare move for voters in the area who've been very supportive of taxes in the past. Portland's mayor believes people have had enough of rising costs, and that's why today, during budget discussions, he asked City Council to freeze fee increases on a number of services. Tonight on The Story, our Pat Doris looked at which ideas were approved.
At Wednesday afternoon City Council session, Mayor Wheeler went over his budget for next year, and he added several amendments that would freeze some city taxes and fees for a year. Here are the specifics. He proposed freezing system development charges for next year. Those are one-time fees for new development for the city. He also pushed for a reduction in the increases that had been proposed for water and sewer services. He also wanted to freeze parking meter rates where they are instead of increasing them by 40 cents an hour, which was approved by the City Council last year.
Studies now show that people are choosing not to stay here. They're moving their households, they're moving their places of employment, and they're choosing to invest elsewhere. We're at an inflection point, and I see this as a critical moment in the city's history, an unusual, unprecedented moment in the city's history that we should respond to.
Wheeler says the reductions and freezes would only affect a small amount of the budgets for each of the bureaus affected. But Commissioners Mingus Mapps and Renee Gonzalez both voted against the freezes, saying they would result in city workers losing their jobs, services being reduced, and harm to infrastructure in the city. And they think the freezes would not actually change enough for people. In the end, the reduction on taxes did pass, but the commissioners voted not to pause parking fee increases. That means that parking fee rates will go up, but only by 20 cents instead of 40.
And a reminder, you can watch the story each weekday at 6 here on KGW for more in-depth looks into the big issues affecting our community.